Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have a jam-packed info session for you this evening, so we are going to dive right in. Wanted to welcome everyone to join us tonight as we're going to talk about University of Vermont's Post-Bacc Pre-Medical program and our Master of Medical Science program. And we're going to talk about both the on-campus and online Master of Medical Science program. So a lot to talk about tonight. And one question that you may be thinking about, well, which one? And so we'll help guide that a little bit with some information. And then we're going to ask you a question in a poll very quickly as to what program you're a little more interested in, where are you leaning, so we can help to answer questions for those program needs as well. We're going to talk about the benefits of the University of Vermont's two different programs. We have a lot of information. Both programs build a strong candidacy for health profession, medical school, dental school, whatever it is that is next on your path. We'll talk about those opportunities as well. And the successes that our students have. That is always a big question is, if I embark on one of these programs, what are the success rates of our students? So we'll talk about that in more detail. We'll take a deeper dive into the curriculum of both programs, some of the logistics, application deadlines, requirements to apply, and of course, have plenty of time for your questions. I will do my best to answer our questions throughout the presentation as well. So if you see the Q&A and there's something you want to ask, please do put that in the chat or in the Q&A, and we'll get to that as soon as we can, and we'll have time for questions at the end. My name is Nicole DeWillier-Fenton. I'm very happy to join you this evening and to talk about our two programs. I'm in our professional and continuing education department, along with Maggie Lambert, who is also in our professional continuing ed department and leads our Post-Bacc Pre-Medical program. Maggie's with us. Sarah is also with us. Sarah Ringler joins us from the Robert Larner College of Medicine, and she advises and works so closely with our Master of Medical Science students. So we'll hear a lot from Sarah tonight. And Kristen Kalbashian is also there. She works very closely with our Post-Bacc students, advises our Post-Bacc Pre-Medical students as well. Kristen is going to be mostly in the chat tonight. So if you have questions about Post-Bacc Pre-Medical program, she's going to jump right on those. And if there's more specific questions for Master of Medical Science, we'll route those over to Sarah throughout the presentation as well. Okay. And we have three amazing students with us tonight too. Super happy to have Paige with us, who is our current Post-Bacc Pre-Medical student. We have Maya, who joined the online Master of Medical Science program. And then Macy is a unicorn. She did both. She did the Post-Bacc Pre-Medical program and the Master of Medical Science program, and is in her second semester of her first year of medical school at Larner College of Medicine. Congratulations, Macy. That is amazing, and we can't wait to hear from you tonight. Okay, as I said, jam-packed. We got a lot to do, so let's dive right in. This is a question that I would imagine many of you are thinking about. Which one? Maybe you know, maybe you're not sure, maybe you're interested in both. So let's start here. We'll pull up a poll in just a few minutes to help you answer this question as well. But Maggie, let's start with you. When we get asked this question, how do you guide them? How do you answer? And what are some of the differences of these two programs?
Thanks, Nicole. The Post-Bacc program is primarily for career changers, or those who have not completed the health professional school prerequisites, or perhaps have taken some of those courses in the past, but they are 7 years or older and need to be retaken. A lot of our prospective post-bacc students have a strong undergraduate record and do need to fulfill these prereqs, and our curriculum is customized to suit individual needs. So we have a handful of tracks and pathways for various health professional schools, and we work with students one-on-one in a customized way to reach their goals, whatever they may be.
Awesome. And Sarah, we'll toss that over to you. When you hear some of the things that Maggie's talking about, how do you answer that question as to the difference between the two programs?
Thanks, Nicole. So yeah, the Master's of Medical Science program, I would say for students who have the prerequisites. So if you have all of your prerequisites to enter medical school, but you want to demonstrate more of your academic rigor, you want to demonstrate to medical admissions that you can handle the caliber of medical school. And many students who enter the program also want to get their own confidence and really understanding what they're going into when they enter medical school.
Great, thank you. Hopefully that gives our participants today a little bit more information. And I'll ask one of our team members, Eric, to pop up a poll because we're curious, what are you interested in? What program are you interested in? So please, let's take a moment to answer those. And it could be both, and that's okay too. We recognize that maybe you're still not sure, but it'd be wonderful if you want to take a few minutes to answer that poll as well. And we'll leave that up as we kind of make our way through here a little bit more, and we'll close that in a few minutes. So let's talk about, we're going to kind of weave in a lot of the feedback from Maggie and Sarah, because the two programs are housed in kind of 1 foot into Larner College of Medicine with a post-bac program, and then solely squared in the Larner College of Medicine with a Master of Medical Science program. So the programs have a lot of similarities and a lot of benefits. So let's start there. Maggie, talk to us about why UVM's program, what makes UVM's program, Post-Bacc and Master of Medical Science, so unique and so beneficial for students wanting to pursue medicine?
Sure. The Post-Bacc program, we have access to the UVM Medical Center, which has a level 1 trauma center. We also here at UVM are an R1 research university, which gives us a multitude of options for our students to engage with research, important research, to get that experience. Also in patient care with our UVM Medical Center and Health Network. There are also independent clinics in the area that our students have access to. And because of this environment, our students are able to reach out and engage and network with physicians, practitioners in the community. And the trauma center and the medical center are within walking distance from campus. We also have a strong collaboration with Larner College of Medicine. We work closely with medical admissions. We talk several times a year about our candidates, our linkages, and what they're looking for. We have a very strong relationship with our program in Master of Medical Science and Sarah Ringler. She used to be one of our post-bac advisors and now is the pre-health professional advisor in the MMS. And we work very closely together. All three of us, Kristen, Sarah, and myself, belong to the national pre-health advisors, and we attend those conferences and stay engaged with that community and network as well.
Awesome. Sarah, is there anything else you wanted to add? And I'm happy to jump over. I know we have other points as well.
I think I'm good. I think Maggie covered it. Thank you.
Then maybe, Sarah, why don't we start here then? Yeah, why don't you share with us, because I know they share a lot of the benefits here too, but walk us through this.
Yeah, so both for the Post-Bacc and the Masters of Medical Science program, you will receive so much advising and academic support. And I think whether it's one-on-one advising, group advising, peer advising, there's always support available to you. The other great benefit is that you have all access to all of UVM resources. So UVM has a bunch of different resources on campus around health and wellness that you have accessibility to as well. Both programs have a virtual learning community, and so another way to connect and stay engaged with your peers. We also put a lot in that learning community about the application process. We do workshops, we post articles, videos, all of that. So it's a really great way to stay engaged in whatever program you're in. We both offer a committee letter process, which is, I think, a really, it's going to really benefit you to have faculty and to have people that you're directly working with be able to speak to you holistically when you go to apply to any health profession school. I'll let Maggie kind of speak to the post-bac various tracks, and I know we're going to get into that in a little bit. And then MCAT prep. So I think we both have an agreement with Kaplan. So there's a way to get MCAT prep built in. And then you'll find that your courses will also reinforce the content for MCAT.
Awesome. Great. And Maggie, yes, we will get to the tracks in just a moment. So we'll hang on here for just a minute. I do see we have a few questions coming in, and Kristen's working on those. So we'll make sure we get to those as well here in just a moment. So let's keep going a little bit, because as we mentioned, lots and lots of opportunities associated with the medical school and associated with the hospital to build that candidacy. So Maggie, do you want to touch on a little bit of this?
Sure. We have ample opportunity for our students to engage in various disciplines in medicine and health professions. And we have the grand rounds that are offered in the Larner College of Medicine. I believe those are still virtual. You can attend those face-to-face, and the entire medical community does so. They're wonderful. There's also seminars that are offered from various units and disciplines throughout campus clinical translational science. The integrative pain management folks in the OSHR Collaborative or Integrative Health is a wonderful new consortium here on campus. The primary care and behavioral health folks. We also, I also want to mention that we have a very unique clinic here through Integrative Health. That's called the Pain Management Clinic, and a conference that's offered to healthcare practitioners in our area. That is unique to our area and UVM specifically. It's a wonderful and innovative model in healthcare. So there is just ample opportunity to be engaged in various ways, and we try to keep you abreast of those opportunities through through our hub. So we push out events and learning opportunities, co-curricular opportunities to you regularly.
And I know Sarah had mentioned the learning community and the learning opportunities from our mentors in our program as well. And also just the informational things that is often done. And Sarah mentioned, personal writing statement workshops and discussions with first-year medical school students like Macy, just giving that perspective back to the students here too. Is there anything else here, Sarah or Maggie, that you wanted to touch on?
Something that we have implemented just this year, just this past week actually, is a simulation lab experience for both the programs. That was our pilot, so that our students could have an experiential in the UVM Sim Lab, which is just a wonderful learning environment. And I think it went very, very well. So we will continue to try to offer that to our students co-curricularly.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Okay, so now the good stuff, right? So Paige is our current post-bac pre-medical student. And as I mentioned, Macy was as well. So we'll hear from Macy in a few minutes. But Paige, we'd love to hear from you. Tell us a little bit about some of your goals for a career in medicine and seeing the benefits and the opportunities of the program. Tell us what your experience has been like.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Paige. So I am that classic career changer. I am going from an ER nurse to a hopeful doctor, fingers crossed. And my experience has been kind of exactly what I had hoped it would be and what I made it to be. This is a program that you create your own destiny, and all the things that we've listed and seen so far are things that you have access to and that you can seek out. So I actually follow the pre-med post-bac hub on Blackboard. And that's where I found my research opportunity, one of my jobs on campus. And I think the main benefit is that when you access these resources, they aren't just something that you can take a part of. They're easy to get to. I can walk from class to my research lab. I can take the bus to my job. This is an accessible program, and it really is what you make it to be. So my experience so far.
Great. Looking forward to hearing a little bit more from you as well. So let's keep going. As we mentioned earlier, Sarah had mentioned that Maggie would talk a little bit about some of the tracks. And this list seems to grow, that we've got a lot of tracks here. And really kind of what Paige was saying is, what do you want to do? Where do you want to take this program? Maggie, just touch on what we're seeing here and why is this significant for prospective students?
Yeah, while we have about 80% of our student population headed towards medical school specifically, we have students that are headed into other healthcare specialty areas like PA, physician associate, nurse practitioner, PT, dental, veterinary. So we have these paths listed here, and a lot of the prerequisites are similar, but not all of them. There'll be a few sprinkling of courses here and there that are different. The post-bac advanced track is simply a way that we've organized some advanced science courses. So if you come into the post-bac program and you've completed some of those prerequisites that you have to knock out of the way immediately, there's a wonderful opportunity here at UVM to take some of the MMS online courses. Also, there's a wonderful OB-GYN course on human pregnancy that I know is popular with students, and our surge research courses are fabulous. So that's what the advanced track is. And the rest are pretty self-explanatory on this list: dental, PharmD, nurse practitioner, and I've said most of the others as well.
Awesome. Great. Lots of different choices. Let's just touch on this. This is an example, right, of curriculum, and we'll have the same kind of example of curriculum for a Master of Medical Science coming up too.
Yeah. So this is pretty generic sample. And like I said, if you've gotten those first sequences out of the way, highly recommend biochemistry. That's also offered online, I believe this year and was last year. And some of these other courses are wonderful opportunities for you to gain some advanced sciences as well.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. And by no means do I expect anyone to have to read everything on the slides. The next couple of ones just are a listing of schools where our students go to when they complete the courses with our post-bac program as well. And really just we often get the question of, well, where do people go? And are they successful coming out of this program? And Macy would be a great example. She is successful in her first year of medical school at Robert Larner College of Medicine. And so our students go a variety of different places, hence the tracks lead to different types of health profession schools. And so these are just not an all-encompassing list, but just a few examples of some of the places that our students go. So we're going to dive in just a few minutes here deeper into Master of Medical Science, but let's answer these quickly, Maggie, because these are, and I'm seeing a lot of these questions in the chat. Kristina is very busy in the chat. One question that we are getting absolutely in the chat is the Post-Bacc Pre-Medical program online? So maybe just briefly tick through some of these questions for us, Mags.
Yeah, the Post-Bacc program is primarily face-to-face. There are, as I've mentioned, a few online options that are available to you. And it takes about 12 to 24 months to complete. You have financial aid available to you for the first 12 months, sorry, for the first year. And do you mind if I just run through these, Nicole?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
And when we talk about cost, I had mentioned that I was happy to talk about cost. We have an in-state and out-of-state rate, but it is fairly complicated and it does depend. That is our generalist answer, because it depends how you approach the coursework and how many credits you decide to take semester to semester. We also have it's a discount in summer. So summer courses are 30% off, and we offer the first 20 applicants to our program in the summer a buy one, get one free course. So in the summer, your first course, if it's a lab science course at 4 credits, would be 30% off. And then you get the second course for free. We also offer scholarship as well. And most of our students do get some form of scholarship from the program. So cost is a difficult thing to talk about, but what we'll say to you is please have a conversation, reach out to us, and we will put you in contact with our Student Financial Services Office to better navigate those conversations for you and decide what's best for you and your approach to financing this education. You connect with other students virtually through the hub. We also have several events throughout the year. We're trying to build in more of those. You are in courses that have other UVM students in them. So we try to offer ways that you can figure out who the post-bacs are in your courses. It is not a closed cohort model. And there are ample research, volunteer and shadow patient care opportunities. We do have a list of those on our site, and Kristen has a list of those, and we catalog where our students go and how they obtain those opportunities. And we can also suggest some for you as we talk through your progress in the program.
Awesome. And I do want to make note that you may be wondering, gosh, it says April 1st is the deadline. Why are we talking about this on the 5th? We have more of a rolling admission. Maggie, just explain a little bit as to if somebody is here and they're interested still in summer, you're not too late. But oftentimes we do see that people make some decisions, a little bit farther out. Maybe they are thinking about fall and what would be the timing of that application process.
So you would want to get your application in now for fall. We're reviewing those applications now, but it is a rolling application process. Reach out to us, let us know what your intent is, and you'll be okay for fall. But we'll continue to take those applications into the beginning of summer.
Great, awesome. Okay, thank you, Maggie. You can take a break for a minute. Sarah, you're up. Walk us through the similar type of slides that we've seen for the Post-Bacc program.
Yeah, so the Master's in Medical Science program is a 30 credit program. You'll all take core courses, and then you'll have a choice of several electives that you get to pick based on your interests. The online program itself it's not different than the in-person. It is just a different modality. So I like to preface that the only difference primarily are the anatomy course. So the students that are in person will take a human gross anatomy cadaver lab. That is a fast-paced lab over the summer. Maybe Maisie can speak to that when she shares. And then the online students will take human anatomy via radiology. As far as the other courses go, like I said, there's core courses and then electives. I think one of the great things and what I hear so much from students is that the curriculum really prepares students for the rigor of medical school. It parallels very closely the first year foundation curriculum at Larner. And when I think of these courses, and what I've heard is, while the MMS courses really go deep, medical school, the first year curriculum will go wide. And so you really complement each other well. And I'll let Maisie speak to that as she's been in all three programs. But yeah, I think that covers the courses.
Great. Okay. And so similar to what we were just seeing, right? Really just examples that our students coming out of the MMS program are very successful. Is there anything you want to highlight?
Yeah, no, I think, we have a lot of students that a majority go to MD, DO schools. We do have students go to PA, dental. And then this little section kind of on the bottom, we also have students that decide that they don't want to pursue medicine and they decide to go into other health profession areas, such as nursing, physical therapy. We've had students go into midwifery and medical devices.
So many different options, right? Okay, Macy, we've been teasing what you're going to tell us this entire time, so it better be good. I'm just kidding.
Could you imagine if I was just like a total letdown?
You're not. I know you're not. So
my name is Maisie. I am also a career changer. I majored in theater arts at Boston College, and I had always wanted to be a physician and never thought I was smart enough. And then when I turned 24, I was like, I'm the only person standing in my own way. So I applied to a few post-bac programs, and I'm so glad that I chose UVM for a few reasons. Namely, I also got to be with my parents and my dog because my folks do live here. And that was a great experience. But just to echo what Sarah had mentioned, I wanted to make sure that I had what it took to handle the rigors of medical school. So I applied for and attended the Master's of Medical Science program with a keen interest on that anatomy lab, which I ended up taking was like the final course for me to attain my degree, my master's degree. And it was like the best course of my life. And I'm TAing that course this summer, which is great. And I am a current first year. I think Nicole mentioned that. I also wanted to echo what Paige said previously as well. These programs are what you make them. If you want success, you will find success. But most great things don't come easily. So if you're willing to work hard and put everything that you have into your future, you will find success.
Great. We'll hear hopefully more from you in just a few minutes, but we also would love to hear from Maya as well. Last summer is when we launched our online Master of Medical Science program as well, in parallel with the on-campus. And Maya is currently in that program. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience in the program.
So I'm actually all the way in Texas. So I'm a couple states away. I actually really love the online program. Like, I was browsing late at night, trying to figure out my next step in life, because I know I went to go to medical school, but also I just wasn't feeling very confident in myself and my ability. So I was like, let me try like a master's program. Let me see if I can do it. And so I found this program. I actually found the in-person section because I was like doing my research, and I didn't see much about the online, but I was like, it's okay, it's fine. It is what it is. I'm gonna take it how it is. And I honestly love it. I feel no different than if I would be in person. I just don't have that like face-to-face interaction. But I mean, I talked to Sarah. I see one of the questions were like, do you still have that support? And yes, oh my God, Sarah emails us all the time. Like, she's attentive. The faculties, they're amazing. Like, I don't know, I can't stress it enough. And I do work full-time, so I am able to do this. And so you can, like they say, your success is as much as you make it.
I'd love to hear how you fit this in with working full time. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about that in a minute too. So let's circle back, and I do see a lot of questions. So I want to make sure. I know, Kristen, you're busy typing. Thank goodness for you. But we do have additional questions. So let's touch on these, and maybe these will answer some of those questions in the chat, Sarah.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit, the program can be done both online and in person. If you're an online student, if you apply online, then you are just taking online courses. If you apply in person, you can take both in person and online. The program is really designed to be done in a year. So students will start in the summer and end in the spring, or you can start in the fall and end in the summer. That being said, we have students that do it on a part-time basis. So if you're kind of questioning how to fit things in or what your timeline should be, just reach out and we can have a conversation that to figure out a plan that works for you. How much will it cost? Maggie kind of covered that. I think the summer courses, it's wonderful that UVM offers a summer discount. We just launched a scholarship. This is our second year. It's called the Dean's Pathway Scholarship, and it's for all MMS students for their second semester. We grant one student a full scholarship for their second semester. But I really encourage students to reach out to financial aid. They are the experts at this, and they'll be able to share all the resources. How can you connect with other students? I think we covered a lot of that. You will have no issues connecting. There's so many opportunities. And I want to also say, even for our online students, and I think, everyone has various schedules, but we do try to find times. We hire former UVM master students to join and be teaching assistants for our online students. And so we have a student that is specifically for the online students, and she'll send out doodle polls to try to do meets and try to get together. And so we really try to make sure that we are providing those opportunities to both online and in-person students. Research, volunteers, shadowing, there is a lot of it. One of the benefits of being connected to a teaching hospital is there's always a chance to get involved. Burlington itself also has a whole host of healthcare outside of UVM. And so we have a lot of students that work at the Community Health Center of Burlington and other areas around campus.
Yes, I no shortage of opportunities. So application process, I feel like there's just a little bit of nuance between the two of them. So Maggie, do you want to just jump in, and then Sarah, maybe share what's the difference here?
Sure. The Post-Bacc program has an online application through Post-Bacc CAS, and we also offer our own version of our application. We leave that open so that the various tracks might want to access that. It's a much less cost than the Post-Bacc CAS, but if you're applying to several Post-Bacc programs nationally, then you might want to consider using Post-Bacc CAS. We require a personal statement, 2 letters of recommendation. We want those letters to be current within the last 2 years, if you can help it. If you have been out of academia for some time, it's okay to use professional references. If you have questions about the appropriateness of references that you'd like to request, please let us know. We can answer those on an individual basis. The transcripts do not have to be official. We do need to see the title of the institution and where they're from and your name on them. So unofficial transcripts are fine to submit in that application process. And our internal application for UVM Post-Bacc is $50 for the application fee. And again, I think I mentioned Post-Bacc CAS is around 140 or 150.
Great. And I know, Sarah, you're also typing at the same time, but can you walk us through the application requirements?
Yes, so it's very similar, except our application is housed in the graduate college, since the Master's of Medical Science is a program in the College of Medicine. That's a graduate program. I really want to stress, so your statement of purpose, I think sometimes students get stressed and they really start to think about what do you write, and you make it like your medical school's personal statement. I really encourage, since the master's program, if you are applying and you have lower undergraduate GPA, provide some context. Let us know, what happened, or let us know how you grew from that or what you learned, because again, that really helps us. And if we don't have context, we just are left to assume. And so really letting us understand who you are as a person, where you've come from, what you've gone through, and why you're applying to the master's. The other difference, I think, is we require 3 letters of recommendation. And especially, again, if your undergraduate GPA is a little bit lower, it is extremely helpful to have academic letters of recommendation. So I really encourage students to have at least 2 letters of reference from someone that you've worked with in an academic setting, or sometimes that can be even a research setting. And then the third one can be maybe from someone that you've worked with in a clinical setting or whatever it may be.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. I know we have put a lot at everyone tonight in a short amount of time. So we will have plenty of time to go back through some of these questions and maybe hear a little bit more from our students too. So who's ready? let's think about that. Who's ready to register? Who's ready to ask more questions and speak with advisors? Sarah would be happy to answer questions as well. So just keep that in mind that sometimes you may have a nuanced question that we haven't gotten to tonight, and there's some certain circumstances. Sarah and Kristen would love to talk to you as well about your interest and questions you may have about the program. So just as we mentioned before, just keeping an eye on some of those dates. Summer is coming up. And so if Maggie mentioned, the course discount and oftentimes the free course in the summer. So, and I hear a lot from our post-bac pre-medical students that starting in the summer is a really, really smart thing to do. It gives you Macy's saying yes. It gives you a chance to get acclimated, and especially as most often we do see career changers that maybe it's been a few years since you've been back on campus and in class. So just getting comfortable in that space again, and summer is a great time to do that. Plus Burlington in the summer is pretty awesome. And then looking towards the fall as well. And then again, of course, we have the spring that oftentimes we have about December deadline. Usually, is that right, Mags? About a December for the spring application.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Early December. Yeah.
Yeah. So just thinking of when that might be the right fit for everyone here. Okay, so we do have lots of questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here so that we can see everybody. And so I know we have a lot of questions, and I'll start with one of the first questions that came in at a 7:15. I hope you're still here. The question was, does this support include individuals who choose the remote only portion of the master's program? And I believe it was some of our earlier slides that talked about the advising and talked about the hub and talked about research opportunities. And we do have another question that, how do I find research opportunities if I'm an online student? So Sarah, do you want to help us with the support piece being an online and research opportunities?
Yeah. So the support piece, I think you have just as much access to support as you would in person, whether it's via student mentors, health professions advising, faculty advising. And the nice thing about the master's program in general is the cohort is relatively small, and we do that so that there is a good faculty student ratio. And so there are definitely ways to gain support that way. The research question is a good one. Like Nicole said, the online program, we just launched the online version this fall. So we are continuously trying to kind of create opportunities for every student. Right now, I think with research is, maybe there potentially could be research done remotely or done within your own area, and maybe there's some mentorship we could do. It's a great question. I think what I always encourage students to do is to look at who's doing research on campus. There are a lot of research opportunities out there, but first kind of see what interests you. What areas are you interested in? What do you want to learn more about? And then do the cold call, really make those connections, reach out, let them know who you are, what you're interested in, and then see what happens from there. But we do have a lot of students that do get involved in research during the program, and then sometimes even during their glide year, they will continue to stay involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And thanks for those questions. Macy, I'm curious to see what did you take advantage of? Were you going to the grand rounds? And I know some of your time there was remote because we were in the middle of pandemic. Talk to us a little bit about some of the extra things that you've been able to take advantage of.
I remember walking into Sarah's office saying, what should I do to get clinical hours, to get volunteer hours, to get research hours? Actually, for research, I started doing research during the post-bac, and then COVID happened, and I'm fairly certain my microscope slides are like still right next to the microscope at that lab. But what was alluded to earlier is that UVM is very well connected. Not only is it connected to a teaching hospital, but also with the community health center that's in town, the Howard Center. And I knew I wanted to have patient interaction. So I spent a lot of my time that I wasn't studying working at community health centers. And something that they have that I think a few places in town have is like a per diem position. So I was able to kind of make or grab whatever shifts made the most sense for my schedule. But I also, as a career changer in a very different field, definitely wanted to make sure that my grades were in line. So I will be honest in saying that, like, I spent a lot of time at the library and did patient care when I could. So those are the two things that I mainly focused on as the application process kind of arrived.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Macy, as well. So let's come back, Sarah. We have another question that says, when does the MCAT preparation typically occur if you're taking the MMS program?
That's a great question. And I think it really depends on each and every individual. You know, I think a lot of times students ask, do you have MCAT prep built into the program? Do you offer a course? We don't have a standard course for all students. We find that students take the MCAT at various times, and you can only do so much with the time that you have. So some students enter the program and it might be the first step to, then they have to get their patient care study for MCAT and they wait a year to apply. Other students, it really depends where you are in your time. I can say that, and Maisie can maybe speak to this, and Maya, I believe you're planning on taking the MCAT, you're studying for it, is that the course content, since you go so deep, that itself really helps to prepare you for biochemistry and certain parts of the MCAT. And then students will find kind of a way to practice that fits their need, whether it's UWorld or there's so many different programs out there. But.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much. And please, Maya and Paige and Macy, if you want to jump in, just unmute and we want to hear from you as well. I'm going to stick with some MMS questions because I know Kristen's been so busy in the chat answering the post-bac questions. So another one for you, Sarah, can we apply for MMS program and the AMCAS simultaneously?
You can. So we have students that do this program during their glide year. Oftentimes those students feel pretty confident about their undergraduate GPA and they really want to do this program just to get their own self-confidence. I will tell students that if you are applying to this program to demonstrate your academics to medical school, they're not going to necessarily see that if you apply during your glide year, because when you submit your AMCAS, they will not see these grades reflected. But again, I'm happy to have a more kind of in-depth conversation based on your specific needs. But yeah, we do have students that do this program during their glide year.
Yes. Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. And this is kind of a question coming out of that over for Paige. Are you considering MMS after post-bac, or maybe is it a little too early to know?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's too early. I am personally not considering it. Only because I am confident in my GPA, and going through nursing school, that was incredibly rigorous. So I feel like at this point, after nursing school and a post-bac, I'm comfortable where I'm at. But I will say I have at least 2 friends who are applying right now. They just finished up their post-bac this past, it's mid-April now. I'm a little lost to MCAT studying. They finished up this past December and they're looking at applying to the MMS. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Paige. And that leads me also to a question that Mackenzie had. How many students apply and get accepted for both programs each term? Either Sarah or Maggie want to take that?
That's a wonderful question. I don't know if I have the exact answer, but I can say that we look at we look at maybe a little over 100, 150 applications. So again, as a small program, we get a small cohort. If your application is competitive in the sense that you've demonstrated some sort of growth, I think there's a lot of misconceptions. Students feel like they have to have a perfect GPA or a very strong GPA to enter a special master's program. And we recognize that things happen during your undergrad, right? And that's for many people why they're doing a special master's program. And so if you've demonstrated growth, if you've kind of demonstrated an upward trend, if you have strong letters of recommendation, those are all great things that will contribute to your application.
Maggie, is there anything else you wanted to add?
So we have 3 entry points and they're all a little bit different. I'd say the bulk of our students come in the summer and in the fall. And we also have a spring start, which is unique to our program. A lot of programs do not have a spring start. So that is the one where there's only a handful of students that start in spring. And the question was how many apply to our program and then how many get accepted?
Yes.
That varies year to year. I would say, and I can actually follow up on this question because we have dashboards with those specific numbers, but I would say more than half, more than half that we have about half that apply get accepted into the program, I would say. But let me follow up with that specifically with some solid numbers, because we do track that.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Also, just because maybe this is also what the question was getting at, is the size of the cohort. So we typically tend to admit around 35 students each cohort. And sometimes that's larger, sometimes that's smaller. And then with the online cohort, that will continue to grow as well. So those numbers will go up, but we keep it relatively small.
Great. Thank you. And great question. Maya, this one's for you because somebody else is curious about how are you doing all this? There's a question that says, I also currently work full-time in a pediatric clinic. I wanted to ask Maya how working full-time how is it for you while also completing the program?
I'm a zombie because I'm also working full-time and studying for my MCAT and also doing this. So I don't get any sleep, but it's in the end. I honestly think it's doable. I just have to it's time management. That's the biggest thing. And I feel like if you get it down now, for whatever prospective school you want to go to, whether it's medical or dental, you'll have that down. So that's been my biggest part, is getting my time management right and trying to plan out my life while still also having a social life as well. But I personally think it's really doable. I have another friend who's also in the MMS program, and she's also working full-time, and we're doing pretty well. We're making straight A's. So I think it's doable as long as you're willing to do it.
Right. It's time management, right? Isn't that everything, right? Thank you, Maya. Thank you for that question. I'm going to come back. I think maybe this is Maggie. The question was, or to answer for Maggie, I saw one of the requirements was 2 semesters of chemistry, for example. If I only have 1, am I not allowed to apply?
I think that's probably for Sarah. Actually.
Oh, is that Sarah? Thanks, Kristen.
Yeah, so your 2 semesters of chemistry would be your kind of prereqs for medical school. You know, we can work with students who maybe are missing a couple of requirements. I would say reach out individually. It really depends. We really want to set you up for success, and some of the courses in the master's program really build upon some of that foundation. But again, physics is one that sometimes we admit students without having their second physics. It's case by case. So reach out. That's a great question. And I'm happy to talk with you further about your application.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these too, that you're going to have certain questions that we, need a specific answer and some talking with Sarah or Maggie or Kristen. So please do reach out as well. And we'll share email addresses as well. And probably the best thing to do would reach out to us via Learn, which is just our general email box, which is learn@uvm.edu. And then we can direct those questions to any of these wonderful folks on the call tonight. A couple more questions. This is a good one. I'm assuming this is back to you, Sarah. The question is, if I submitted my application for the in-person master's program in late January, when should I be hearing back?
Yeah, so soon. And if you don't reach out. So, I think if you submit your application, sometimes what holds it up is we might not receive all your letters of recommendation. So once you submit your part, we're sometimes still waiting for other parts. So we're waiting for letters of recommendation to come in. And once everything is in, then we review them. The committee will meet every week. And so the committee reviews those weekly. And yeah, so it's a pretty quick turnaround as far as hearing back. So if you haven't heard back, then that's then definitely reach out, because my guess is maybe you're missing a couple of your materials.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that as well. And I would imagine the answer to this is yes, but we'll ask it anyways. Once in the program, would you be able to make a plan with you, Sarah, regarding our course plan for studying for the MCAT?
Yes, and that is something that we can help you with. And I know Amazie, she created this whole visual diagram for our students that was so incredibly helpful. And so, we definitely utilize our alum too, and people that have gone through the MCAT to give you tips and tricks. But there's a lot of information out there, and I really encourage students, when you're studying for the MCAT, is to devise a plan that's going to work for you. That's the wonderful thing about having all these resources, if you can really pick from so many different things. And there's a lot of wonderful free resources, which on our community site, we have a whole list of resources that are available to students.
Great. And great question. Thank you. Maggie, I'll toss this one over to you, similar to what the question was 2 questions ago for Sarah. What's it response time for the Post-Bacc program application?
We review those applications weekly. So I would say no more than 2 weeks. And if for some reason you're not hearing back from us because we've had a few glitches in the past with Post-Bacc Cast, or your references aren't coming in fast enough, please reach out, because we can track those pieces together and make sure that we know that you're waiting to hear from us, and we can get back to you on what might be missing.
Awesome. Great. A few more questions, and then I just want to be mindful of time here as well. And Kristen, I know you're in there answering lots, but a few more MMS questions. Sarah, if applicants have already taken their MCAT before applying to either program, so maybe either one of you, do you consider their score in the admissions process?
Yeah, so scores aren't required. We actually used to require a score, but then we never want to push a student to take the MCAT just to apply to our program. It takes a lot of time and effort to take the MCAT, and you want to take it when you're feeling most confident and most ready. But if you have taken it, and even if you've taken it and you maybe didn't get the score you want, that can help us in some ways. It can help us see that you've taken it. It can help us see where your strengths are and maybe what this program can help you with. So if you've taken it, you can definitely include it in your application, and we will look at it.
Great, thank you. Also trying to type at the same time. Okay, so let's talk about linkage agreements. There's been a couple of questions about that. We haven't touched on that much tonight. So let's talk about it from the post-bac perspective and then MMS. So Maggie, do you want to go first? What is a linkage agreement and what do we have in place?
So the linkage agreement is an agreement that we'll have with a health professional school for our agreement specifically, it's for a guaranteed interview given the student meets the criteria of that agreement between that institution and us. So we have a linkage agreement with the Larner College of Medicine for a guaranteed interview for our students who reach a 3.5 GPA in the post-bac program. And that criteria is also outlined on the site. It is not a direct linkage. I see some questions out there sort of grappling with that. It's not a direct linkage. You don't have to sign up early and commit to the Larner College of Medicine specifically. We are looking at that opportunity, but that is not currently what the linkage agreement states. We also have an agreement with Franklin Pierce for PA school. And we have other agreements with our own College of Nursing and Health Sciences for nurse practitioner, occupational therapy, and DPT as well. And nurse, yeah, I did say nurse practitioner. Great.
Sarah?
Yeah, so similarly, we have an agreement linkage with the Larner College of Medicine. So students that graduate from our program with a 3.5 GPA and receive a 509 on the MCAT are guaranteed an interview. And the 509 on the MCAT is at the time of applying. So if you don't get that 509 that first time and then a year later you retake it, then you're kind of grandfathered into that to that guaranteed interview. We are also in the works, and it's so close to being finalized, so I feel like I can share it, of an articulation agreement with University of New England School of Osteopathic Medicine, and it'll be kind of similar with certain GPA and credit hours, and then an MCAT score.
Thank you, and thank you for that great question. I'm gonna pause on questions and circle back with our three students for a moment and kind of end on their feedback and their thoughts. Macy, I'm going to come to you last because I want you to share with us how well have you been prepared in your first year of medical school? How have these programs helped you, and what is that perspective like coming through these programs as a first year medical student? But Maya, I want to come back to you for a moment in terms of one of the questions that we've had in the chat tonight is, benefits of online versus in person. And you've been talking a lot about the flexibility. When someone asks you, well, oh gosh, you're doing an online master medical program from the University of Vermont. Why did you choose the University of Vermont? What would you say to that?
I would just say first, my first interaction was the application process. Like I got feedback. It was just very interactive. Like it wasn't an empty line. So that to me is huge because I'm a talker. So like I love when people communicate with me and just like don't leave me on an empty phones, kind of line. So that was the biggest thing. So when I applied, I got not feedback, but I had a timeline, like based on my application, like it's in the review stage, and even my friend, she can speak to her too. She even like emailed them, was like, hey, I haven't heard anything back from my application. And like they got back to her within a couple of days. And so I just love that process because I did apply to 3 other programs and I got into 2 of them. And I just chose UVM just like based on the research that I did, even though it was for the in-person portion. But again, I'm a good researcher. So if the reviews are good, I'm going to go there, period.
Awesome. Great. We're glad you're here. And Paige, thinking about your journey, why UVM? There's lots of options out there, especially coming from a nursing background. You have kind of a different view of the medical world. What drew you really to this program?
Yeah, so as silly as it may sound, part of the reason I chose Vermont was to live in Vermont. I am from Baltimore City, and I wanted a change in lifestyle, a change in pace. And so once I figured out where I wanted to go, I looked at University of Vermont, and seeing that they were attached to this large level 1 trauma center, research, teaching friendly hospital, I was like, this is go. The benefits of being next to a teaching hospital, being in a large group like that. And kind of like what Maya said, once I reached out to the education team and I got answers almost immediately, I was like, this is a place that I would like to attend because they are accessible. They'll help me in any way that I need them to as I go through this really, really long and tough.
Great. But as Macy will probably tell you, it'll be worth it, right? That's what we're hoping, right, Macy? So Macy, share with us, going through both programs and in your halfway through your second semester of your first year medical school, how are things going in medical school? And how do you kind of relate some of the learning experience you've had in the past couple of years?
Can you hear me? Okay. I feel so well prepared. Truly, I feel as though the Post-Bacc program prepared me extremely well for the MCAT. Like it goes through everything that you need for the MCAT. The master's program, the biochemistry and the courses I took mirror the first year of medical school almost entirely. So I felt like I oddly had a leg up on a lot of, like, you don't have to have a master's degree to go to medical school, right? Like you just need those prerequisites. But I felt that the confidence I got from the master's program is just, it makes me a confident student. It makes me feel like I will be a better doctor. Biochemistry, oddly enough, comes very easily to me as someone with a background in Shakespeare. So I don't know if you can relate that somehow, but it might sound cheesy, but in the most honest and genuine way, both the Post-Bacc and the master's program were like the best decisions I ever made for myself. And I feel extremely fulfilled. I feel like my curiosity and passion for medicine has only just been fueled and is getting stronger. And it's honestly been like an incredible experience. Someone in the chat asked about my timeline. So I started the Post-Bacc in the summer of 2019, and I finished it in the summer of 2020. And then I started the master's program in the fall of 2020, finished that in the summer of 2021. And then that was the year that I was applying. So I got a job as a medical assistant at the hospital as I waited to hear any news, and then ended up getting in. And as they say, the rest is history.
Super excited for you. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Macy. Thank you so much, Maya. Thank you so much, Paige, and every one of our presenters tonight. I know we've been thrown a lot of information at our guests. As I mentioned, please do reach out. There were questions we weren't able to get to tonight, and certainly very specific questions that you might want to ask to Kristen and to Sarah and to Maggie and the team. So probably the best email is learn@uvm.edu. And also we do have our staff, our real people on the back end of the chat on our website. So usually about 8:30 to 4:30, kind of those typical hours during the day, we have our enrollment coaches and our team answering those questions on the chat. So it's not a robot, it's real people. So you can certainly ask specific questions on our website chat in addition to reaching out. And so the poll, can everyone see the poll results, or am I the only one seeing that? Yes, you can. Okay, good. Yeah, I wasn't sure. So look at that. We're like split right down the middle. People were interested in both programs pretty evenly. And then, the third one, maybe, both programs, it might be something as we've seen those sequencing and we've been talking about tonight. So that's super cool that you are equally interested in our post-bac pre-medical program and our Master of Medical Science. So this has been recorded, and so we will share the recording out and happy to answer any additional questions. We hope to see you in some classes this summer, and we hope to see you in either or all three of our programs in the fall and following as well. We wish you all a good night, and thank you again to all of our presenters. Take care.